As of making this video, Ashes of Creation has been playable for about 10 months in its Alpha 2 state, but after hitting a big development milestone recently, it's now finally playable with 24/7 uptime minus weekly maintenance, whereas before that this wasn't the case. The previous Alpha 2 Phase 1 and 2 testing periods were only open during certain days, and on top of that there were also server wipes. With Ashes being a bit of a grindy MMO, many players, including myself, have been waiting for Phase 3 as the time when they'd jump in and commit more time to the game, especially considering Intrepid are going to try and avoid server wipes during Phase 3 if possible. This is why Ashes coverage on YouTube has been fairly quiet in 2025 compared to previous years. Only the most die-hard fans and testers have stuck around during these heavy development focused months. Despite the mixed sentiment and less hype-fueled coverage in media, Ashes of Creation has made massive progress in the 10 months since Alpha 2 began. We're talking multiple zones, new systems, new classes, dungeons, bosses, system reworks, and much more. In this video, I'll start by first breaking down the development progress of Ashes since the Alpha 2 release on a month-by-month basis. Then I'll give you an overview of Alpha 2 Phase 3 to help you decide if now is a good time to buy into the game. In Phase 3, anyone can buy into the game via the Ashes website for $100, and I often forget to mention this to people, but there's actually a 90-day money-back guarantee regardless of the amount of time you've played the Alpha 2, which isn't something you see too often. We're likely going to be in Phase 3 for at least a year, then we go into 2 short beta phases, then, God willing, a full release. I've been covering Ashes for over 8 years now on YouTube, and I'm going to continue to make content about it until it's released. So subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the game, and use my Ashes referral code on screen if you want to support. But before we begin, please support the content by listening to today's sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and it's free to play right now on PC, consoles, and even mobile devices. Take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships from 10 nations, spanning from the 1920s to the cutting-edge fighter jets and main battle tanks of today. This isn't some simple point and shoot. War Thunder features one of the most advanced damage models in gaming. Every single vehicle is modeled down to its internal components like engines, crew, and fuel tanks, and all of it can be damaged or destroyed depending on how you fight. And when a vehicle goes down, War Thunder's X-ray view shows exactly where the shot landed, what parts were hit, and why it blew up. And here's the big news, War Thunder now has a brand new mobile version on iOS and Android. Same massive battles, same incredible visuals, now in your pocket wherever you go. Whether you're into fast-paced action or full-blown simulations, there's a mode for you. Arcade for quick matches, realistic for balanced challenge, and simulator for the hardcore pilots and tankers out there. Plus, you can deck out your vehicles with custom camouflages, historical markings, and decorations. New and returning players on PC and consoles that haven't played in the last 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms that include multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator, Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account. So what are you waiting for? Join over 95 million players worldwide and jump into the most epic PvP battles on land, sea, and air. Download War Thunder today for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile, and use my links in the pinned comment or video description to register. It's been a long time since I've made a proper development recap for Ashes, so let's go through the development highlights since Alpha 2 began and focus on the meaningful things that have been added to highlight what's changed in the last 10 months. That way, you'll get a decent idea of the speed of which Ashes is currently progressing at this stage of development. Obviously, a lot of the work is back-end tech and infrastructure, but I'm no developer, so I'll try to focus on the things that most of you will understand. November 2024 was the first full month of Alpha 2 after Phase 1 began on October 25th, and outside of server stability there wasn't any new features added for testers. The monthly dev stream though, titled Giants and Demons, gave us a peek into future content. They showed 3-star giant monsters being fought as a group, this was to preview higher tier open world PvE challenges, and a 40-man raid against a GM controlled boss, essentially an early preview of the monster coin system. This feature isn't actually playable yet in Phase 3, but the live stream gave us a taste of how chaotic it could be. December 2024 is when we started to see our first big content updates added to the Alpha 2, as well as a transition into Alpha 2 Phase 2 on December 20th, moving testing from weekend windows to longer multi-day sessions. The December dev livestream showed off the new open world dungeon, Befallen Forge, which went live that same week. Freeholds were introduced, purchasable at level 20 for 100 gold, alongside a new marketplace system for player trading. Two new races, the Dunir Dwarves and Valoon Humans, were added, and the Sand Squall Deserts got 3 new nodes. The month wrapped up with combat balance tweaks, caravan changes, and bug fixes. January 2025 was the first full month of Phase 2, and it focused on both new content and combat tuning. The dev livestream for that month showcased the brand new treasure hunt system, where players could use maps to track down hidden caches for rare crafting mats and gear in the world. They also showed off a preview of the new pocket dungeons in the Sand Squall Desert. On the testing side, this was also a big combat balance month, with mages being the most heavily adjusted and a focus on time to kill. A late month hotfix also cleared up node crashes, guild rank bugs, and party invite issues. February continued Phase 2's content push with the monthly dev livestream showing off a new batch of pocket dungeons in the Sand Squall Desert. These are smaller open world dungeons that unlock as nearby nodes advance to higher stages, adding more PvE variety without pulling players out of the seamless open world. 4 were added in February: Apothecarium Dreadmine, Communion, the Gypsum Outpost, and Stone Hold. The Sand Squall Desert itself also expanded with a new outpost and additional commodities, whilst Intrepid carved out 2 new lawless areas in preparation for future node development. On the testing side, patches focused on polish and bug fixes, in particular addressing invisible character issues, as well as refining the caravan system so that only participants could interact with or attack them. March was a big month for core systems. The monthly dev livestream showcased the Rogue archetype for the first time, giving players a look at stealth gameplay and class abilities. It also featured a full rundown of node sieges, an introduction to the relic system, and the first preview of the naval system with harbours and caravels. In-game, the update on March 27th added the Rogue to the Alpha 2 build, expanded the world into the Turquoise Sea with early naval content, and enabled siege systems for testing. There were issues and bugs related to sieges initially, but most of them were hotfixed by the end of the month. The relic system showcased in this live stream is actually really cool in terms of design, and I've never mentioned it in my previous Ashes coverage, but basically relics are rare objects that the community must hunt down in the world, then deliver to their node for benefits. Relics act as an incentive for players to declare node sieges, as a successful siege will allow the victors to pillage relics from the losers. Some of these relics are super legendary, 1 per realm tier, and are meant to be server-wide adventures to obtain and figure out the acquisition process. Relics have different rarity tiers, and nodes are limited with how many they can slot in. On paper, I love this design, and I think it's got a lot of potential to create epic stories. April's dev livestream was all about the Turquoise Sea expansion, the first big naval-focused content drop. Intrepid showcased new harbours, lawless sea zones where open PvP is always active, and a large batch of new pocket dungeons spread across the Jundark zone and surrounding seas. These include places like Kraken's Belly, the Bloomed Moor, the Murmuring Root, Pools of Stench, and the Hollow Oracle, each tied to node progression in the region. On April 25th, Update 0.90 went live, adding the bulk of the Turquoise Sea into Alpha 2 Phase 2. This included multiple new nodes that could advance to Stage 3, new commodities, and lawless maritime regions. Importantly, lawless zones now granted bonus XP and increased luck, giving players a real incentive to risk PvP whilst adventuring there. The patch also brought in environmental storytelling, bug fixes, and performance tweaks to keep the larger world stable with the expanded play space. On the live ops side, we saw the first world merge, followed by a wipe on May 1st that reset character levels and progression, alongside with settlements, mayorships, freehold vehicles, and cargo. The May dev livestream focused on system design and infrastructure. Intrepid gave a design talk on the summoner and its pet mechanics, previewed an economy revamp aimed at keeping gold sinks and crafting loops healthy, and discussed Unreal Engine upgrades for better performance, visuals, and anti-cheat integration. June. They also outlined their BI data and cheat prevention strategy, showing how backend tools are being built to track exploits and keep progression fair. In-game updates through May were on the lighter side content-wise, but patches refined siege performance, caravan stability, and bug fixes across the board. Crafting and economy systems also saw balancing, with processing, drop tables, and node commissions tuned to feel less grindy, laying the groundwork for a larger economic refactor that arrived in June. June was all about laying the foundation for Phase 3. The monthly dev livestream gave players their first deep dive into the Anvils, a new mountainous starting zone and ancestral homeland of the Dungeon-Kill dwarves. This region will act as a second divine gateway alongside the Riverlands, with distinct starting paths for the Dunir and Nikua races. The stream also revealed major economic and stat overhauls, plus the new crate system tied to node construction, commodities, and trade. Node progression was streamlined by cutting the old city stage, so the path is now village into town, then metropolis. In-game updates focused on new world events like the Warbler Warding and Beneath the Crimson Standard, alongside polish across sieges, UI, and visuals. July was the ramp-up month for Phase 3. All Alpha 2 testers were invited onto the PTR under NDA to stress test new systems, with frequent wipes and focused sessions. The livestream in July gave us the first in-game look at the updated Pyre, Nikua, and Dunir models, and also the first showcase of the new town stage after node progression was streamlined. Dynamic lawless zones were unveiled too, rotating across the map with bonus XP, loot, and relic opportunities during active phases. The economic overhaul and crate system got further detail, with players physically carrying construction, commodity, and relic crates for settlement growth and trade. Guild progression saw its first rebalance with a point-based system replacing skill trees and weekly tasks outlined for Phase 3. PvP flagging and corruption rules were also refined to reduce accidental flagging and make griefing harder. August 2025. This was a huge month for Ashes, with Phase 3 going live on August 26th, with a fresh wipe and 24/7 uptime outside of maintenance. Phase 3 has two realms, Shoal for NA and Lotharia for EU, and Intrepid have also renamed nodes to settlements. Definitely more approachable, but as someone who's been calling them nodes for the past 8 years, it's going to take a while to get used to. Phase 3 also upped the maximum settlement progression from village to town stage. Character creation now gives you the choice to either start in the Riverlands or the Anvils, although with the Anvils being more new, it's still more bare bones than the Riverlands content-wise. Two new playable races arrived alongside a big economy and stats rebalance, with the new crate system tying everything together. Launch-wise, Phase 3 was the smoothest yet, with queues climbing past 1,000 at peak and 5 DDoS attacks mitigated, though some lumen lighting bugs do remain. The August dev livestream also gave us a walk and talk in-game look at the new Anvil's starting area, and looked ahead to November's big update titled Harbingers Engines of Chaos, which will introduce corruption zones that spread dynamically across the world, along with extras like open sea fishing, the Renkai race, the Summoner archetype, new world bosses, mules, and more. So to summarise, so far in the past 10 months that Ashes of Creation has been in Alpha 2, from Phase 1 to Phase 3, they've added the following to the game. 21 new settlement locations, currently totalling at 26 so far in Phase 3. The world is roughly 2.5 times larger. Expanded the node cap from village to town. 2 new zones, the Jundark and the Anvils. 11 pocket dungeons, 1 open world dungeon, the Rogue class, 4 new playable races, freeholds introduced, marketplaces introduced, treasure hunt system added, an entire naval system was added which included harbours, ships, caravels and turquoise sea sailing, node relics were added, lawless PvP zones were added, node sieges were added, new world events, a major economic rework plus the crate system, guild progression was added, the character creator received some big improvements, the gathering system was reworked, a new weapon type, the dual daggers were added, as well as new items, enemy types, bosses and gear sets. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff that they've added, and as much as people oftentimes meme that this game will never release, I think that's insane progress for 10 months of Alpha 2. So that brings us to the big question. Is now the time to buy into Ashes of Creation if you're on the fence and waiting for the right time? Honestly, it depends on your motivation. If your goal is to get in early, learn as much as you can about all of the systems, figure out which class you want to play at launch, and just be in a position where you've got a good understanding of the game before full release, then I'd say yes. As a content creator and someone that intends to play hardcore at launch, this is my motivation. However, for me personally, I actually think the best time to jump into Alpha 2 Phase 3 will be November 18th for the Harbingers update, as this brings some massive fundamental improvements to the game's progression with zone-wide dynamic PvE events. By then, the anvils should also be more fleshed out, questing should be improved, and dynamic gridding should be fully functional at all times. If you're wanting to jump into Ashes now with a group of friends or a guild, I'd also say now is probably a good time. There's a decent amount of content and systems online for guilds and groups to have fun with. As a guild, you could also start forming alliances, trying out the PvP, getting deep into the settlement systems, and so on. If you're someone that wants to go into Ashes solo and treat it like a fully released game, I think you might not have the best time depending on your expectations. The solo leveling and new player experience still needs a lot of work early on. If you choose the Anvil starting area right now, you're going to have a less fleshed out experience than if you chose the Riverlands, and questing still needs some improvement. For solo players, I definitely recommend waiting until November 18th, as progression will feel better and the world will feel more dynamic. Honestly though, there's no rush to jump in right now, and I've just seen so many people, content creators and ex-diehard fans, completely burn themselves out already since Alpha 2 began, simply by trying to play this unfinished game as a full-time MMO. When you're playing an unfinished game every day, development feels infinitely slower than someone who's watching casually from the sidelines. You feel every minor delay, every wipe, every bug so much more that your perception on the reality of the game's development speed becomes warped. That doesn't mean you shouldn't play it or buy into it, just know what you're signing yourself up for. But to conclude, yeah, if you're going to buy into it before full release, now is probably a decent time to do it, but I do think November 18th is probably a better time. Also, by playtesting the PTR and hunting for bugs, you could potentially earn cosmetics for the full release, so that's cool. Aside from that, just to give a brief overview for Phase 3, this is the big testing phase, the one that's going to run the longest with 24/7 uptime, and it's expected to last at least a year, maybe longer depending on how things go. The goal by the end of it is to have the game be feature complete, not content complete, that'll come at full launch, but feature complete in the sense that all of the major systems Intrepid have been talking about for years will actually be in the game and working together. So over the course of Phase 3, you can expect a steady rollout of the following: the Summoner archetype, the class augment system, which lets you pick a secondary archetype to determine your overall class, the full set of housing options including instanced apartments, static in-node housing as well as fully functional freeholds, and settlement progression all the way up to metropolis, each with unique layouts and themes depending on racial influence. Fully functional dynamic gridding should also allow for truly massive open world battles without the servers melting. We'll get dynamically spreading corruption zones, which is actually the very next big update. Further naval expansion with bigger ships and proper progression, new weapon types, animal husbandry so you can start breeding mounts, and of course more biomes, nodes, and an ever-expanding world size. I probably missed a few things, but you get the point. Over the next year or so, the full foundation that Ashes of Creation will build its content upon should finally be in place. But that's it for this video. I hope I got you all caught up to date with the development of Ashes in 2025, as well as help you decide if you want to jump into Phase 3 or not. If you got any value out of this vid, then please do give it a like, as I put a lot of effort into making it. Shout out to War Thunder again for sponsoring today's video. Make sure to check out War Thunder now for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or on mobile, and use my links in the pinned comment or video description to register. Those of you that are new or haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across PC and console, including multiple premium vehicles, in-game currency, and more. And also use my referral code if you want to support the ongoing Ashes coverage. I'm likely going to follow up this video with another one talking about my first impressions of Phase 3 after I've had a bit longer to play it, so keep an eye out for that. Social media on screen, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.